It's definitely been an interesting dynamic. Like any families, they have their ups and downs, but in general, I would say it's good working with Pat, Kenneth, and especially Katie Ann. I mean, we absolutely could not do what we do without her. It's nice because they also treat us as family, as in us employees as family. I like that far more than working for a large corporation where you're just kind of treated as a number on a piece of paper. Whereas with Pat or with Kenneth, they're going to ask, how you doing today? What's been going on? How are your parents? And it's nice to have that level of familiarity with them.
The perfect person to have joined the team, I would have to say, is someone who is lively and is always looking to improve. Like, I'm not opposed to, like, hey, you do it this way, but there's a better way. Like, if there's a better way to do whatever I'm doing, please let me know. Of someone who's always learning, who's always looking to help grow what we're doing, or save time in this area, because I'm sure there's better procedures or a better way than I'm doing it. Someone who's punctual, someone who is honest, someone who genuinely cares about the company, not just someone, obviously you're going to get a paycheck, we're going to pay, but we want someone, yes, you're going to get paid, but do you really care about the vision that we have as Central Valley Gates and what we're doing? Just someone who is a go-getter.
I think that being helpful is recognizing an area that needs some attention and just doing it, taking care of whatever that is, without having to be asked or without having to have direction. Be self-motivating, be self-starter. That's helpful, especially to the company as a whole and to individual employees. Being personable is just being genuine with your fellow employee. You don't need to put up a mask or a shield. If you want to be here and you want to do the job, but you also have to be able to work with the guy next to you. I mean, things like if you're in the truck together and one's a smoker, one's not. And you can't say you can't smoke, but I don't allow smoking in my truck. But you might not be able to smoke for the day because the person next to you might not be able to tolerate it. I don't like cigarette smoke. I really just can't be around it. So if you're with me and you're a smoker, you're not smoking for the day. Not with me. It's not a deal breaker as far as employment goes. You're telling jokes. Make sure that the jokes are not going to offend. Because you start offending each other, and the work ethic goes right out the door. And now I'm dealing with a bunch of cats that I can't corral. So just be respectful of each other's space. Be respectful of each other's different lifestyles. You might have a guy that likes to drink. You might have a guy whose family are alcoholics. So you probably shouldn't be talking about drinking. That might trigger him. He's gonna have a bad day because of it. I mean, at some point when you're working with a guy, you're gonna get familiar with, you'll get familiar with each other's needs and quirks. And you get out of the truck and you're gonna know immediately, depending on what you're doing, whether it's a gate install, an operator install, a telephone entry install, you're always gonna know what the next guy needs. That takes a little bit of time to develop that friendship and that work friendship. And we can help develop that. It's not something that you necessarily have to completely do yourself. We will give you the tools to be able to understand how to develop that.
It's not just one field, like a carpenter can frame a house or they can finish a table. We do electrical work, we do digging and trenching, we do fabrication. There's so many different aspects to what we do that you kind of have to have an open mind of, no, that's not what I do. You kind of have to be willing to learn a lot of different things to be able to do this. The best employee I ever hired was an iron marker. Didn't know anything about access control, access control or gates or automation, and turned out to be my longest running employee. The worst employee I ever hired came from the same field. He came from elevators, elevator tech, access control for elevators. He lasted maybe 6 months and I had to get rid of him. Like I said, the best one had no experience or anything to do with what we do. The one that lasted wanted to learn and wanted to do a good job. He would ask the right questions and just had a good attitude about it.
So I kind of jump around with my roles. Sometimes I'm out in the field, but for the most part, I am running the fabrication side of things. taking things to powder coat, building the gates, picking up materials, stuff of that nature. But on occasion, when we do need it, I'm out in the field doing service or installs or whatever they need me to do, really. Make sure we're doing things safely is the main point of concern. Typically, the powder coating isn't done when I'm working on the gate. This is a special occasion because somebody insisted on spear top pickets on top of this flat top gate, but usually I can keep it pretty clean if I'm just working with a bare steel gate. At most, maybe a couple scratches, but they can easily be ground off. I would have to say it's probably our honesty. A lot of companies are not worried about that. They're worried about getting the sale and getting out of there. We are more than happy to sit down and explain to you what's going on, why it's going on in simple terms that anybody can understand. There's a lot of companies who we've been told anyway that if it's under something like 15,000, they're not interested in coming and working for somebody. So they don't want to go work for a little old lady downtown who just needs an operator serviced and up and running again. They want to replace everything. They want to build you a new gate and upcharge you on everything.
Making sure the guys have what they need, making sure I have what I need mostly, and making sure these jobs just go smoothly. Within a day, I could probably schedule 10 service calls. The last 2 can be like, we might get there, we'll let you know if we have to reschedule type thing. We don't like doing that, but the max, I would say at least 10. With the opener itself or any of the, really, you won't have any issues with an opener. It's usually something like a limit switch, or you'll say you'll have 3 loops, exit, shadow, and you'll have a safety loop. You'll have issues with those or the photo eye. Photo eyes are required these days. Even batteries. If your batteries are going low, sometimes it'll beep, sometimes the gate will start acting a little slow, a little sluggish. That's kind of a warning sign like, hey, your gate's probably gonna be held open until this is solved, because it's designed to do that. If the photo eye is misaligned, not responding to the reflector, it'll just be held open. It won't close at all. But a lot of these new gate openers, if it's wired right, it'll say right on the screen what the issue is. So we can get a photo. If you ask the customer to get a photo, send it to us, so we have an idea to come out just in case we need any parts or anything like that. We can get it fixed. We just show up. Katie Ann's pretty good about getting notes on what the issues and stuff like that, but I'll call them beforehand just to let them know that I'm coming out there. There's not a lot of companies out there that just do what we do. So we specialize gates and the automation and access control. My dream job would be going in, because we work with contractors that do fencing and gates, stuff like that. We'll come in behind them and do the openers, some of the access stuff. But a lot of times the access gets split off to another contractor, so there's 3 hands in it already. So a dream job would be us coming in after the gate and the fencing are installed, so we can just go in, get the access stuff installed and the gate openers installed. It's showing up to a job and not only looking at the one, like if a customer calls saying they have an issue with the gate, they know what the issue is, we go out there and fix it. Not just looking at that issue to try to fix it, taking an overall view of the gate itself.
Yeah, if you're coming on board, you have to be willing to take on different roles if needed. So if I need you to go look at a job, I can walk you through how to look at it when you're there, what to look for. We can actually do video calls. Today's technology with the cell phones, there's no reason why I can't put you on video. Now, and Josh and I used to do that back when it was just him and I. There was a period of time when Kenneth left, and I forget what I went on vacation. Kenneth left, Katie Ann was still doing her thing. But Josh was my only field guy. Every day on my vacation, I was taking calls from him, and he would have his phone and show me what he was looking at, and I would tell him, okay, and I would have to walk him through those jobs. You'd be flexible, because that's something that might happen. If I got 2 guys that call in sick, you're gonna move from what you're doing into something else. So just be willing and flexible to be able to adjust to what the company's needs are over what you want to do. That might mean too that you're because we put everything on a calendar, so you're going to know a few days ahead of what's going on, what you're going to do. But that might mean that in your brain, hey, it looks like I'll be able to get off at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But if I have to change the schedule, now you might not get off till 6. So don't be planning stuff. You've got to be flexible. I have you for 8 hours a day. Now there's going to be those times when you can go home at 6. But I have you for 8 hours a day. That's what you signed up for. So if you're on your way back to the shop and I get a service call and I call you and say, hey, I need you to go do that, I need you to be flexible and willing to go do it without argument. Don't make plans. Just because you're headed back to the shop, you don't make plans until you get into your own vehicle. and you clocked out. Yeah, I don't work on the weekends, and we don't have emergency service or anything like that right now. So no, I've never worked my guys on a weekend. After hours, maybe, if down the road we end up with emergency service calls or something like that, but the majority of those I'll probably end up doing until I'm too old to do it. You know, and I think that also falls in line with if we were gonna have after hours, if we were gonna do emergency service, then I would have to pre-arrange that with an employee for that employee to handle that and have compensation pre-arranged for that. So then it doesn't become an argument, it doesn't become a problem, it's already been arranged. I'm not gonna just tell you that you've gotta go do something, or you're gonna be home eating dinner and, oh, hey, go do this job. Well, that's not my turn, or whatever, there's gonna end up being an issue.
Learning things from him showing us, like, say, how a telephone entry functions. He showed me how to use a multimeter for checking voltage, for metering out wire to see if there's any breaks anywhere or grounds in the wire. There's many instances of that I would say, but there's not really any specific job I could point out to, just because there's so many different times that he said, okay, I need to show you this. I'll walk you through how to go through a keypad or whatever it might have been. Well, number one is be aware of everything going on around you, because whether it be somebody using a grinder, somebody welding, or if we're taking a gate leaf down and off, there's a million different things that could happen. If a lifting strap breaks and that gate drops, you need to be able to move. And if you're not aware of your surroundings, then you could get hurt. You could hurt somebody else by not being aware. Like going back to welding and grinding, you're shooting sparks. So if you're not aware that somebody just grabbed a grinder off the truck and is getting ready to cut something, and you're just standing there, you could get hurt. Or you could move something that they're cutting and they could get hurt. With welding, even just being next to it without shielding your eye in some way, you could get damaged. I suppose that would be really the biggest thing, is awareness. If you haven't used something, you need to ask. You need to have it explained to you.
Giving too much information to customers before they ask for it. People like to talk to customers, and if you tell them something is going to happen before you know it's going to happen, that's a big one. I've had to teach a lot of guys not to do that. If a crew goes on site and they're doing an installation, most of the time the crews don't know the full steps or the full scope of installation, so the customer will ask questions about a different phase of a project. If we're out doing the groundwork, concrete work, layouts for a job, and they're asking an installer, oh, are we going to run low voltage of this, and are we going to do this way? Rather than give information that you think is going to happen, you need to say, I don't know, but I can look into it for you, and then ask the right person. That's the biggest one, is giving information that you're not sure 100%, or they're not sure 100% is going to happen.
I think if you make an employee feel valued, that the money is just a kind of an icing on the cake type of thing. Because it's not just about getting the paycheck, it is about wanting to come to this job and make the company as a whole successful with you being a piece of that. If you don't feel valued, if you don't have skin in the game as far as what the office staff or what the field staff feel of you, and you just don't feel it, is that your fault or is that our fault? You're not gonna have a conversation because you're afraid to, and you're gonna start feeling no value. You're gonna be devalued. You're gonna feel that way, even though the people around you may not be purposefully trying to make you feel that way. So is that your fault or is that our fault? Companies lose employees all the time because they don't understand that relationship. I didn't feel it. I was told a lot of things that never happened. And that took a lot of time away from my family because of it. Working 10, 12-hour days and having it mean nothing. Ultimately have it mean nothing. You're gonna be an invaluable member of your team because of what you know and the skill set that you advance as you grow with what you're doing. Eventually, it's not gonna matter what anybody thinks. You're the guy. Because this kind of stuff, technology, it's really what is going to drive this planet after a while. It's technology. I don't think I am never going to worry about AI taking over my job, but AI is going to take over a lot of jobs.